today's episode of Where's Brian, we're headed to do some work with a department that interacts with the public on a daily basis. They assist with everything from events coordination to urban deer management and animal control. Do you know where I am today? I'm Brian Phillips. On most days, I work in an office for the Ames City Manager. Since starting here, I've learned a lot about the different jobs city employees have. Many of them you might see every day. Others work behind the scenes to provide quality programs and exceptional service to the community. And that's why I'm here, to experience the different jobs the City of Ames has to offer. You never know where I'll go next.
The Ames Police Department consists of 53 sworn officers and several support staff. The largest division within the police department, with 42 officers, is the Patrol Division. The police respond to neighborhood residents and provide preventive patrol on the streets of Ames. Let's take a look at how it works if you happen to get pulled over.
Good morning, Ny.
Good morning, Brian.
Well, before we get started today, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into police work.
Sure. My name's Ny Saadiq. I began with the department in 2008 as a CSO, which is a community safety officer. Those are the officers you see driving around the parking trucks. We handle a lot of the parking complaints. We also do minor traffic accidents. We assist officers on traffic accidents for traffic control and also do prisoner transports. And then shortly after that, in 2009, April 2009, I was offered a job as a police officer. So I served with the department as a police officer patrol officer until September, the end of September, when I became the community resource officer.
So what does the community resource officer do on a regular basis?
Community resource officer is the liaison between the community and the patrol police department. And we get to do things like this, educational activities, and we do the CPA, which is the Citizens Police Academy, and we organize that. And also, we just make sure that we're that link between the community and the police department as far as going out, listening to their issues, bringing it back to the police department, and vice versa.
Okay. Well, what are we going to be doing today?
Today, we're going to be doing traffic stops.
Okay. And you've had some practice doing these before?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. If you want to lead the way, we can go ahead and get started.
Sure.
Okay.
Punching your exhaling. Back. Down. Back. Down.
So we're in a little different car than most people are used to seeing on the street. Can you tell us a little bit about this particular police vehicle?
Sure. This is our new Ford vehicle. We just recently acquired this. We're going to be changing our fleet pretty soon, so you'll either see a newer Chevy or this new Ford out there as one of the newer vehicles that we're going to possibly switch to.
And we're switching because they're not making the Crown Victoria anymore, right?
Correct.
That we currently use.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of bells and whistles and buttons and things that I probably shouldn't touch in here. What kind of things are we going to be using today to do a traffic stop?
Okay, well, depending on why you stop me, you might have used the radar, which is right here.
Okay.
And this is the remote to the radar. Let's see. Got a lot going on. This is the radio,
Okay.
which you would call out your traffic stop on. And the mic is
right here?
correct. Next to your leg. Yep,
That's
that's the mic you would
okay.
call out your traffic stop, and that radio would get you in touch with dispatch. Then you'd initiate your lights, possibly sirens, depending on if I decide to stop for you or not.
Okay.
And you do that by flicking this lever over to either 1, 2, or 3. Initiate your lights.
What about the computer? Is there a computer in every police vehicle?
Yes, there's a computer in every patrol vehicle that we have. On this computer, you would have a system pulled up that would locate all the other officers of your location and the nature of your call. So if it's a traffic stop, it would put you out on a traffic stop or harassment call. And
So you can get an idea of where everybody's at and who might need assistance and things like that.
yep, that's correct.
Okay. And then you also use this for reporting the information that you might get from a license or something like that?
Yes, we do have the capabilities to check license and registration on vehicle, and then dispatch would also receive that information.
Okay.
And also an officer could also pull up your notes and look at who you're on a traffic stop with as well.
Okay. And I know there's some monitoring equipment too in the police vehicle. So are there cameras in here?
There are. The cameras in here. This is the camera that faces out. This gives the view of what the traffic stop will be. So when you come back to your vehicle, you can look up on this monitor, and that will show what's coming out of this camera here.
Okay. So that's useful if you have to go to court and there's a record of what has happened in the traffic stop?
Definitely.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that we should know about the vehicle before we get started?
Well, if you're going to print me a citation, this is our printer.
Okay.
Right
So you've got a
here.
printer right here in the car.
Yep, very compact. The citation comes out this way, and you usually can rip it back that way. Say if there happened to be a pursuit and we continued out of town or something like that. We also have a state radio
Okay.
in our car, and that helps us out listening to other traffic that's going on with the other units out there, Story County and troopers. We can listen to their radio as well. And then once you get my driver's license, this is the scanner. And this, once you scan the driver's license and you can scan the insurance, that populates it into our track system, which we use to issue the citations or the warnings.
So that's a lot easier than having to type everything in by hand, right?
Definitely easier.
Okay, so if we're, I think today the scenario that we're going to do is a speeding vehicle or a vehicle traveling too slowly.
Okay.
So what are we going to need to do? What are the steps that we'll take when we see that vehicle going too slow or too fast?
Well, what you're going to immediately want to do is, if you plan on making the traffic stop, you want to let dispatch and the other officers know our location, make, model of the vehicle, license plate, and that you're going to be on a traffic stop with that vehicle. So you'll use our handy-dandy radio there.
Okay.
You can call that in. Then you're going to use where I showed you, the light bar, initiate our lights.
Okay.
And get the vehicle in a safe location. Sometimes if it's busier on the busier intersections in Ames, I might wait and conduct the traffic stop at a safer location where the vehicle can more easily pull off to the right.
Okay, so maybe around the corner in a residential area or a parking lot or something?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so what happens after we've got the vehicle pulled over?
After he's got the vehicle stopped, then we're going to exit the vehicle, and we're going to go ahead and make contact with the driver of the vehicle.
Okay.
And go from there.
Okay. What does that entail?
Once we stop the vehicle, we'll make contact with the driver, let them know who we are, the reason why we stopped them, and from that point we'll gather their information, their license, registration, insurance, and depending on how in-depth you want to get, we come back to the car, and then at that point determine if you're going to issue a citation, a written warning, or a verbal warning
Okay.
to the driver.
Okay, well, I think we're probably ready to go then. Is there anything else I need to know before we get started?
Not
Okay.
no.
So like right about here?
Yeah.
And then wheels out.
And you want to gently shut your door.
What's that?
Gently shut your door. Yeah. And when we walk up, we're going to touch the back of the vehicle.
Okay.
Like this.
So we're walking up to the vehicle. Where do I stand?
Stand right about there.
Okay.
Perfect. You don't want to be in the way of the door if he opens it, and also gives you an advantage point to look inside of the vehicle.
So
from that angle.
I can see pretty much everything that's going on here except for a couple of spots.
Exactly, except
Okay.
for this spot right there. That's your blind spot.
Okay, so what do I do now that I'm up next to the vehicle?
From this point, I would say, I'm Officer Nye with Ames Police Department, and then give him the reason why you stopped him.
Okay. Hello, sir. My name's Officer Brian. I'm with the Ames Police Department. I stopped you here because you're traveling too slowly. All right.
Okay.
What's next?
And then from that point, I'd ask him for his license, registration, and proof of insurance.
Okay. Can I see your license, registration, and proof of insurance, please?
Yep, it's just in my glove compartment.
Okay.
At this point, you want to be watching where his hands are going and get the information.
All right, so now we've got his documents. What do we do next?
I'd say go ahead and stay in your vehicle. I'll be right back with you.
Okay. Go ahead and stay in your vehicle, keep it in park, and I'll be right back with you. Okay? So we'll take these back to the car, right?
Correct.
And then what is going to happen when we get back to the car?
When we get back to the car, I would run his driver's license information, run
Okay.
his registration information, and then at that point you determine whether you're going to issue a verbal warning, a written warning, or a citation.
Okay. And it's up to your discretion as to which of those three things happen?
That's correct.
Okay. So after you've determined what's going to happen, and you've either given them a citation or a warning, what happens next?
After I determine, say for this instance, we'll give him a warning.
Okay.
Maybe it's going to be a written warning.
Okay.
I'd print out the written warning, and then I'd walk back up to his vehicle, and you would have his information by then. So I'd take note of his name and let him know that he's going to receive a written warning for the citation, for the offense, excuse me, and then explain a little bit why it's important that he not do it. What he was doing in this case, it was driving too slow, which could impede the flow of traffic and might even cause a traffic accident.
Okay, and then he gets his documents back and can be on his way, right?
That's right.
Okay. All right, sir, here's these back. I'm going to go ahead and issue a written warning. You were traveling too slowly in the flow of traffic, and it was impeding traffic, and that's a dangerous situation because it could cause an accident. So like I said, you'll get a written warning today, and just be sure to keep within reasonable speed next time. Okay? All right, you're free to go. Thanks. Okay, so as a police officer, when you're coming up to a car that you've never seen before and somebody you've never met before, what's going through your mind as you're dealing with this person?
Immediately, my safety is the most important for these, for traffic stops. Most officers are either injured or killed while doing traffic stops, so it's very important for us to be cognizant of where we've done the traffic stop. So there's traffic usually traveling by us, and also when we're approaching the vehicle to get a good look inside of the vehicle before we actually make contact. And sometimes I'll stand and I'll have had a good look before I even introduce myself to the driver.
Okay. So what are things that the driver can do to help you feel more safe and make sure that everything goes okay?
The driver, important thing is to keep his hands where we can see them. They don't have to necessarily be gripping the steering wheel, but as Andre's sitting with his hands on his lap, that's fine. If he's gonna go for his license or his registration, it'd be good to let us know, you know, my license is in my back pocket and my registration's in my glove box.
Okay.
And then don't make such a quick movement, but, you know, reach over there in a more slow fashion.
So give you a little warning as to what they're going to be doing.
Right, and the location of the items they plan to give us.
Now, what about while you're walking up to the car? Is it important for you to be able to see their hands and things like that as they're walking up, or should you just be reaching for your license and registration right away?
Yes, when we do the traffic stop, that is one thing. The first things I look at is where their hands are. Of course, if there's anything else in the vehicle, but I want to make sure that I know where the driver's hands are, and that a lot of people might take their seatbelt off also before we go making that movement. So make sure you keep your seatbelt on before make sure the officer sees you with your seatbelt before you decide to take it off to reach for information.
And what about if you're driving along and there's lights and sirens behind you and you know you're getting pulled over? If you're on a busy street, what should you do?
Well, if you see the lights come on behind you, immediately just slow down. You want to signal that you're going to be pulling over to the right and make sure it's safe to do so. So check your mirrors before you make that decision to move over to the right. If you don't feel comfortable stopping, say on our busier intersections, Grand, Lincoln Way, Duff, it's okay to let the officer know that you see him behind you, and you can do that with a signal to the right, and then you can pull off into a residential area.
Okay, so that might be a little safer
lot,
place to do this. Okay. Is there anything else that would be helpful for the public to know?
At night, it's good for us if maybe they can turn on the interior lights. That would help us see inside the vehicle and just for our safety. And it also makes it easier when they're reaching for their information, that they can get to it more quickly and don't have to fumble through a lot of things. Also to keep your insurance, your registration in the vehicle at all times. And it's even better if you have it clipped together in some fashion and just be as cooperative as you can with the officer.
Okay. Great. Well, we learned a lot about traffic stops today. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for showing us everything.
Thank you.
All right. Today we got to see one of the many things that the Ames Police Department does to keep us safe on the road. Be sure to tune in for the next Where's Brian?
Because you'll never know where I'll go next.
Trying to give Alex stuff for the B-roll.
Do you want me to tell a knock-knock joke?
Yeah.
Would that be good?
Do you have one?
Sure.
Go for it.
What did the pig say on the very hot summer day?
Oink oink.
I'm bacon.
I'm glad we're able to...
That's not a good one to be with cops right now doing a pig joke. I got that one. It's terrible.
And it wasn't even a knock-knock joke.
I know.